The universe operates on principles we understand: physics, chemistry, the fundamental laws of cause and effect. Subspace follows predictable patterns. Warp fields obey mathematical precision. Sensor arrays catalog the known and classify the unknown. But what happens when something pierces the veil between realities, carrying with it the echoes of a war so vast, so brutal, that it makes the Federation's conflicts seem like philosophical debates? What happens when a soldier bred for endless combat awakens in a universe that believes war itself is a disease to be cured? Captain Jean-Luc Picard stood on the bridge of the USS Enterprise-D, studying the viewscreen with the focused intensity that had carried him through 2 decades of command. The anomaly hung in space like a wound in reality itself, a shimmering distortion of colors that shouldn't exist, energy signatures cycling through patterns the ship's computers refused to classify. "Report, Mr. Data." The android's fingers moved across his console with inhuman precision. "The anomaly is generating subspace fluctuations inconsistent with any known phenomenon, Captain. I am detecting what appears to be a fusion of slipspace rupture, a theoretical form of faster-than-light travel, and our own subspace dimensional framework. The energy readings suggest an intersection point between our universe and another." "Another universe?" Picard moved closer to the science station, his interest piqued. The Enterprise had encountered parallel dimensions before, but this felt different. The readings were chaotic, violent, as if 2 fundamental forces of reality had collided and left wreckage in their wake. "I am also detecting a faint distress beacon, Captain," Data continued. "The signal is degraded, but it appears to be automated. Humanoid life signs are present within a small vessel at the anomaly's center, though the bio signs are unusual." Counselor Deanna Troi stepped forward, her empathic senses reaching across the void. "I sense someone in there, Captain. One consciousness. They're dormant, but there's something else. A presence that's not quite alive but not entirely artificial either. It's watching. Waiting." Picard exchanged glances with Commander Riker, who stood at his customary position. Both men had learned to trust Troy's instincts. "Yellow alert. Maintain distance. Mr. Worf, scan for weapon signatures." The Klingon security chief's hands moved decisively across tactical. "Captain, the vessel's hull composition is unknown. I am detecting what may be weapon systems, but they are inactive." However, he paused, and Picard recognized the tone. Worf only hesitated when something troubled his warrior's instincts. The vessel itself appears designed for combat. Heavy armor plating, reinforced structural integrity far beyond our standards. This is not an exploration craft. "Captain," Data interjected, "the anomaly is destabilizing. If we intend to render assistance, we must act within the next 4.3 minutes before the vessel is crushed by dimensional compression." Picard made his decision with the certainty of experience. "Transporter room, lock onto the humanoid biosigns and beam directly to sickbay. Erect a level 10 containment field. We don't know what we're dealing with." "Aye, Captain," came Chief O'Brien's voice over the comm, "initiating transport now." "Captain, I'm reading some interference from whatever's inside that vessel with the humanoid. It's trying to establish a handshake protocol with our computers. Should I block it?" Picard looked to Data, who had already begun analyzing the interaction. "The entity appears to be artificial intelligence, Captain, but far more sophisticated than our current positronic matrices. It is not hostile, merely attempting communication. Allow limited access, Chief. Route it through an isolated system. Let's see what it wants to tell us." The transporter beam engaged, and on the view screen, the small vessel began breaking apart as the anomaly collapsed inward. Within seconds, the distortion folded into itself and vanished, leaving empty space where impossibility had briefly existed. "Transport complete, Captain," O'Brien reported. "Whatever we just beamed aboard, it's heavy. Nearly exceeded the transporter's weight capacity. Sickbay has it contained." Picard nodded to Riker. "Number 1, assemble an away team. Mr. Worf, Mr. Data, and yourself. I want security and science perspectives. Counselor, your empathic abilities may prove invaluable. I'll join you shortly. As the team moved toward the turbolift, Picard returned his attention to the view screen, staring at the empty space where the anomaly had been. Somewhere in his ship lay a visitor from another reality, a soldier, if Worf's assessment was correct. The Federation had protocols for first contact, diplomatic frameworks built over centuries. But those protocols assumed civilizations that had chosen to explore the stars. What protocol existed for a warrior who had never known peace? If you want to see more characters enter the Star Trek universe, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. Live long and prosper. In sickbay, Dr. Beverly Crusher stood before the containment field, medical tricorder in hand, scanning the object, no, the person, that lay on the biobed within. The armor was like nothing in the Federation database. Green gold plating covered every centimeter of a body that registered as human but had been augmented beyond anything she'd seen outside of Borg drones. The helmet's golden visor reflected the sickbay lights, revealing nothing of the face beneath. Computer, increase containment field to level 12, she ordered, erring on caution's side. And someone tell me why my readings show this person's skeletal structure is reinforced with a metallic compound I can't identify. And their muscular density is 3 times human baseline. Nurse Ogawa looked up from her console. Doctor, I'm also reading cybernetic implants integrated directly into the neural system. But they're not like Borg technology, these were surgically implanted, carefully integrated. This was done to enhance, not assimilate. Crusher's tricorder beeped insistently. Life signs are stable but weak. The subject is in some form of cryogenic suspension. There's a device attached to the armor's back, it appears to be maintaining the stasis field. Her hand hovered near the field controls. If I disrupt it, he'll wake up. But we don't know what we're dealing with. The sickbay doors hissed open. Riker entered first, followed by Data, Worf, and Troy. The Klingon's hand instinctively moved toward his phaser as he saw the armored figure. Doctor, status? Riker asked, positioning himself where he could see both Crusher and the containment field. Humanoid male, approximately late 30s, though the augmentations make aging difficult to assess. He's been in cryosleep for. I can't determine how long. The technology is completely foreign. She gestured to the armor. This isn't just protective gear, Commander. It's a weapons platform, life support system, and tactical computer integrated into one unit. Whoever designed this understood human physiology intimately and pushed it beyond natural limits. Data approached the containment field, his golden eyes analyzing every detail with computational precision. Fascinating. The armor's power source appears to be a miniaturized fusion reactor operating on principles similar to our own warp core technology, but far more compact. The energy shields, he paused, tilting his head. Commander, the armor is generating its own defensive field. It is currently inactive, but the capacity rivals our personal shield technology. Worf's assessment was blunt. This is a soldier. Enhanced for combat, armed, armored. We should keep him sedated until we understand his intentions. We can't make that choice for him, Mr. Worf, Troy said softly, though her eyes never left the armored figure. He's afraid. Even in cryosleep, I can feel it. Not fear for himself, fear for others. He's protecting something, or someone. Before anyone could respond, the main computer terminal in sickbay flickered. Lines of code scrolled across the screen too fast for human eyes to follow, then a female voice emanated from the speakers, cultured, intelligent, tinged with what might have been humor. I apologize for the intrusion. My name is Cortana. I'm the AI companion integrated with the armor you're examining. Before you panic, I've isolated myself to this terminal only. I'm not infiltrating your systems, yet. We need to talk about waking up my Spartan, and why you really don't want to do that with weapons pointed at him. The away team exchanged glances. First contact protocols had just become infinitely more complicated. Riker's hand moved instinctively toward his comm badge, ready to call security, but Data raised one hand in a gesture of pause. "Commander, the AI is maintaining its isolation as promised. It has not attempted to access ship systems beyond this terminal. I recommend we listen." The voice, Cortana, spoke again, and there was an edge beneath the politeness. "Smart android. Yes, I could breach your firewalls given time, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because in approximately 90 seconds, Chief's cryosleep is going to fail on its own. The pod wasn't designed to survive dimensional transit. When he wakes up, he's going to assess threats immediately. Right now, you're all standing within his kill radius, armed, surrounding him in a confined space. I've seen how this goes. It doesn't end well." Worf's grip tightened on his phaser. "Is that a threat?" "It's a tactical assessment, Lieutenant. Chief doesn't threaten. He reacts. And after fighting a war for 3 decades against aliens who wanted to exterminate humanity, his reactions are efficient." There was genuine concern in the AI's tone now. "Please. Lower your weapons. Step back. Let me wake him properly and explain where we are. He'll listen to me." Crusher looked to Riker, who stood frozen in the decision point every commander dreaded: trust the unknown or prepare for combat. His instincts warred with Starfleet protocol. Finally, he nodded. "Everyone, step back from the containment field. Keep phasers holstered but ready. Doctor, can you lower the field?" "Commander, I must protest," Worf began. "Noted, Lieutenant. But if this AI wanted to harm us, it's had opportunity." Riker's voice carried command authority. "Cortana, we're backing down. But understand, this ship has families aboard. Children. If your Spartan poses a threat to them, we will respond." "Understood, Commander." For what it's worth, Chief's fought his entire life to protect children. He was one once, before they took that away from him. The terminal screen shifted, displaying what appeared to be a medical readout in an unfamiliar format. Disengaging cryosleep in 3, 2, 1. A hiss of escaping vapor filled the containment field. The armored figure's chest plate rose with the first true breath in however long he'd been sleeping. Servos whined softly as augmented muscles engaged. The helmet turned slightly, and through the golden visor, Crusher could swear she saw eyes scanning the room with predatory awareness. The voice that emerged from the helmet speakers was deep, controlled, stripped of anything except purpose. "Cortana. Sitrep. We're not in Kansas anymore, Chief. That slipspace rupture threw us into another universe entirely. Different physics, different technology, different humanity. We're aboard a starship called the Enterprise. They beamed us out before the pod was destroyed. These people aren't hostile, they're explorers, diplomats. They use something called a prime directive. Think UNSC, but with actual ethics." The armored head swiveled, taking in each member of the away team with mechanical precision. Crusher watched the way he catalogued them: Worf's weapon, Data's unusual appearance, Riker's command posture, Troy's unguarded stance. The Spartan was profiling them for combat potential even as he processed Cortana's words. "Their weapons?" Chief asked. "Energy-based. Phasers, they call them. Variable settings from stun to disintegrate. Not as crude as plasma rifles, more sophisticated than anything the Covenant had. But Chief, they've set them to stun. They're trying to be peaceful." For 5 long seconds, the Spartan remained motionless. Then, slowly, he raised both hands away from his body in a gesture that transcended language, the universal sign of non-aggression. "Master Chief Petty Officer John, 117, UNSC Navy. Serial number 117-055-342. I am not your enemy. Riker stepped forward carefully, hands visible. Commander William Riker, First Officer of the USS Enterprise. On behalf of the United Federation of Planets, welcome aboard. You're safe here. The helmet tilted slightly. Safe. That's not a word I'm familiar with, Commander. Chief lowered his hands but remained alert. Cortana, structural integrity of the armor. Shields at 65% efficiency. Something about subspace is interfering with recharge cycles. I'm adapting, but it's like trying to run Forerunner code on a DOS system. Weapons systems nominal. Motion tracker is having trouble distinguishing between their technology and actual threats. I'm recalibrating. Data's eyes brightened with scientific curiosity. Cortana, may I ask, your computational matrix appears to be housed within the armor itself. Are you a distributed network AI or a localized consciousness? There was a pause, and when Cortana spoke again, there was warmth beneath the wariness. Someone who actually asks interesting questions. I'm a smart AI, created from a human neural map. I exist primarily within Chief's neural interface, but I can distribute myself across compatible systems. Think of me as his tactical conscience. And you are? Lieutenant Commander Data. I am an android, a positronic artificial intelligence housed in a synthetic body. I find your existence fascinating. We have much to discuss regarding the nature of consciousness and Data, Riker interrupted gently, perhaps we can save the philosophical discussion for after we've established basic communication. He turned back to Chief, who hadn't moved. Can you tell us what happened? How you came to be in that anomaly? Chief's response was economical, military precise. Final mission on Installation 08, a Halo ring. Forerunner weapons platform capable of exterminating all sentient life in the galaxy. I destroyed it to stop the flood. During evacuation, Slipspace drive ruptured. Entered cryosleep. Woke up here. He paused. How long was I out? We cannot determine that, Data said. Your vessel emerged from an intersection of your universe's slipspace and our subspace. Temporal mechanics in such events are unreliable. You could have been in cryosleep for days or decades relative to your origin point. For the first time, something like emotion crept into Chief's voice. The war. Is the war still happening in my universe? We have no way of knowing, Troy said softly, and Crusher watched the Spartan's shoulders tense beneath the armor. The counselor stepped closer, her empathic abilities clearly reading something the others couldn't. But you're not there anymore. Whatever you were fighting, whatever you've lost, you're here now. And we can help you. I don't need help, counselor. I need extraction back to UNSC space. Chief's helmet turned to Riker. Commander, I'm requesting transport to the nearest UNSC facility or relay station. I'll compensate however your people require. Riker exchanged glances with Data, who shook his head slightly. Chief, I don't think you understand. There is no UNSC in this universe. No Earth government we recognize from your descriptions. Humanity here united under the Federation over 200 years ago. We've encountered dozens of alien species, formed alliances, explored thousands of systems. But we've never heard of the Covenant, or Forerunners, or anything from your reality. The silence stretched. Crusher watched the armor's energy reading spike slightly, elevated heart rate, increased neural activity. The Spartan was processing implications that would break most people. Then I'm stranded. It wasn't a question. No way home. We don't know that yet, Riker said firmly. The Enterprise has encountered parallel dimensions before. If there's a way to return you, we'll find it. But that will take time, research, and cooperation. In the meantime, you're a guest aboard this ship. We have quarters available, replicators for food, recreational facilities. I'm not a guest, Commander. I'm a security risk. Chief's tactical assessment was brutally honest. I'm a weapons platform from another reality carrying technology you can't counter, trained in combat doctrines you've never seen, with an AI that can potentially compromise any system on this ship. Standard protocol would be to isolate me until threat assessment is complete. Worf nodded approvingly. Finally, someone who thinks like a warrior. Captain Picard will want to meet you. If you are to remain aboard, you will follow our protocols. Agreed. But understand, Lieutenant, I follow protocols that make sense. I've seen what happens when bureaucracy supersedes survival. If your captain expects me to stand down while threats manifest, we're going to have problems. The sickbay doors opened, and Picard entered with the measured stride of someone who'd already heard the conversation through his comm badge. He took in the scene, the armored Spartan, his assembled crew, the tension coiled like a spring, and Crusher saw him shift into the diplomatic mode that had diffused countless potential conflicts. Master Chief. I am Captain Jean-Luc Picard. I understand you've had a rather extraordinary journey. He clasped his hands behind his back, a gesture of openness. I will be direct with you. You are aboard a vessel of exploration and diplomacy. We are not a warship, though we defend ourselves when necessary. The Federation does not believe in creating soldiers like yourself. We find the concept troubling. Chief's response was immediate. The Covenant found humanity troubling too, Captain. They tried to exterminate us for it. Sometimes being troubling is what keeps you alive. Picard's expression didn't change, but Crusher caught the flicker in his eyes, respect, perhaps, or recognition of a worthy philosophical opponent. Indeed. Then let me ask you, Master Chief, what do you intend to do now that you find yourself in a universe without your war? The Spartan looked down at his gauntlet hands, servos whispering as he flexed them. I don't know, Captain. For the first time in my life, I don't have a mission. Then perhaps, Picard said quietly, it is time you found one. The observation lounge adjacent to the bridge had hosted countless first contact scenarios, treaty negotiations, and difficult conversations. Picard had always found something reassuring about the room, the stars visible through the windows, the elegant simplicity of the furniture, the sense that here, reason could prevail over conflict. But as Master Chief stood by those windows, still fully armored, staring at the unfamiliar constellations, Picard wondered if reason alone would be sufficient. Data sat at the conference table, his fingers dancing across a PADD that displayed Cortana's translated data. Riker occupied his usual seat, while Worf stood near the door, not quite at attention, but ready. Troy sat closest to where Chief stood, her empathic senses undoubtedly working to understand a mind forged in decades of warfare. Your service record is remarkable, Picard said, reviewing his own PADD. Cortana had provided extensive documentation, perhaps understanding that transparency would serve better than secrecy. Conscripted at age 6. Biological augmentation at 14. First combat deployment at 14 years, 7 months. 3 decades of continuous warfare against an alien hegemony that outnumbered humanity 50-1. He looked up. You've never known peace. Peace is what happens between battles, Captain. Chief turned from the window, and even through the helmet's visor, Picard felt the weight of that gaze. The Covenant didn't offer treaties or diplomatic solutions. They wanted humanity extinct. Every planet they found, they glassed, burned the surface until nothing lived. Billions dead. My job was to slow them down, buy time for evacuations, for Earth to prepare. Sometimes we won. Usually we just made them pay for their victories. And you were children when they made you into weapons, Troy said softly. The Spartan 2 program took 75 6-year-olds and turned them into soldiers. Only 33 survived the augmentation process. The helmet dipped slightly, acknowledgement. ONI called it necessary. Dr. Halsey called it progress. I call it what it was, survival. Humanity needed Spartans, or humanity would have died. We were the acceptable cost. Picard set down his PADD, troubled. The Federation outlawed genetic augmentation after the eugenics wars. We learned that creating superior humans only breeds tyranny and conflict. Yet you don't seem interested in conquest or domination. Because I wasn't made for that, Captain. I was made to protect. Chief moved to the table, pulling out a chair that groaned under his armor's weight. Dr. Halsey chose us for specific psychological profiles. Aggression, yes, but directed. Loyalty. Protectiveness. The ability to make impossible decisions without breaking. She didn't want conquerors. She wanted guardians who'd throw themselves into the fire so others wouldn't burn. And did you? Riker asked. Throw yourself into fires. Every time it was necessary. There was no pride in Chief's voice, no regret, just statement of fact. Cortana can provide mission logs if you want specifics. Boarding Covenant vessels to plant bombs. Defending colonies against overwhelming odds. Destroying Halo rings before they could be activated. The flood, he paused, and Picard noticed the slight change in posture. Captain, in my universe, we encountered a parasitic species called the flood. It consumed entire civilizations, turned them into vectors for further infection. Sentient beings becoming weapons against their own kind. The Forerunners built the Halo array specifically to starve it, kill all sentient life in the galaxy so the flood had nothing to consume. Data's head tilted with characteristic curiosity. A sterilization protocol on a galactic scale. Fascinating and horrifying. I presume you prevented this activation. Twice. The first time on Installation 04, then again on the Ark when the Covenant's prophet tried to fire the entire array. Chief's gauntlet hands rested on the table. 3 decades, Captain. I fought thinking machines, religious zealots, infected horrors, and my own species insurrectionists. I've seen humanity at its worst and its best. I've killed more sentient beings than I can count. And I'd do it all again, because the alternative was extinction. The observation lounge fell silent except for the ambient hum of the Enterprise's systems. Picard studied the Spartan, seeing not a monster or a victim, but something more complex, a man who'd been shaped into a weapon yet retained his humanity precisely because he understood what he was protecting. Cortana, Picard said, addressing the AI through the room's computer terminal, you've been with Chief for how long? The AI's avatar materialized on the view screen, a woman composed of light, beautiful and artificial in equal measure. 8 years, Captain. Though it feels longer. I was created specifically for him, matched to his neural patterns. Before me, he had other AI companions, but none permanent. The UNSC didn't trust smart AIs with their Spartans, too much risk of rampancy, of an AI going insane and compromising the program. Yet you have not, Data observed. Standard AI lifespan in your universe is 7 years before rampancy sets in. You have exceeded that threshold. Cortana's avatar flickered. I'm aware. Every day I wake up wondering if this is when I start fragmenting, when I become a threat to Chief instead of an asset. But he won't let me go. And I won't leave him. Her image solidified with what might have been determination. We've kept each other human, in our own ways. Troy leaned forward. Chief, can you remove your helmet? I'm not asking as a matter of protocol. I'm asking because right now, you're hiding behind armor. Whatever happened to you in your universe, you're not there anymore. We're not your enemy. For several seconds, Chief remained motionless. Then his hands moved to his helmet, and there was a hiss of depressurizing seals. He lifted it free, and Picard saw the face beneath, harder than any 30-something should be, scarred along the jawline, brown hair cropped military short. But it was the eyes that held Picard's attention. They were the eyes of someone who'd seen civilizations burn and still chosen to fight for what remained. Better? Chief asked, and there was the faintest edge of dark humor. Thank you, Troy said. I know that wasn't easy. Ma'am, taking off a helmet is the easiest thing I've done all week. Chief set the helmet on the table. Captain, I appreciate what you're trying to do here. But we need to address the practical situation. I'm a foreign military asset on a Federation starship with technology you can't reproduce and capabilities you can't predict. Your Lieutenant Worf is right to be concerned. So what's the arrangement? Am I confined to quarters? Do I have freedom of movement? What are your rules of engagement if I'm present during a hostile encounter? Picard appreciated the directness. You'll have guest quarters and freedom to move through most of the ship. Engineering, the bridge, and tactical systems remain restricted without escort. I'm assigning Commander Data to work with Cortana on analyzing the subspace anomaly that brought you here. If there's a way home, we'll find it. In exchange, I ask that you respect our protocols and our philosophy. The Prime Directive is not merely a regulation. It is the foundation of how we interact with other civilizations. Don't interfere with developing cultures, Chief said. Cortana briefed me. It's similar to the Cole Protocol. Don't let the Covenant find Earth, destroy your ship before capture, protect humanity's location at all costs. Except your version protects other species from you. Precisely. We believe that every civilization has the right to develop naturally, without outside interference. No matter how much we might want to help, no matter what suffering we witness, we must allow them to find their own path. Chief's expression hardened. Captain, I've watched colonies burn because reinforcements arrived too late. I've seen children die because someone in command decided engagement wasn't strategically optimal. So forgive me if I don't share your enthusiasm for standing by while people suffer. The Prime Directive is not about standing by, Picard replied firmly. It is about recognizing that our interference, however well-intentioned, can cause greater harm than good. We have learned this through bitter experience. When we impose our solutions, we rob civilizations of their own agency, their own growth. We become tyrants, even benevolent ones. And when you're the only thing between them and extinction? When your non-interference means they all die? Chief's voice remained level, but Picard heard the challenge. In my universe, Captain, the Covenant glassed Reach, our second most important colony. Military headquarters, training facilities, billions of civilians. They burned it all. The UNSC had the capability to evacuate more people, but command decided defending orbital platforms was more strategically valuable. I disobeyed orders, went surface-side, and extracted survivors while the planet died around me. If I'd followed protocol, those people would be ash. So tell me, was I wrong? Riker shifted uncomfortably. You're describing a trolley problem. Save the few you can reach or position yourself to potentially save more later. There's no right answer. No, Commander. There is an answer. You save who you can, when you can. Everything else is just excuses. Chief looked at each of them in turn. I understand your Federation is different. You've achieved peace, cooperation between species, exploration instead of conquest. That's admirable. But I come from a universe where humanity was 3 days away from extinction when I destroyed that last halo ring. We didn't have the luxury of philosophy. We had survival. Picard stood, moving to the windows where stars stretched endlessly. And now you're in a universe where philosophy matters. Where we must grapple with the implications of our power, the responsibility of our knowledge. The Federation is not perfect, Master Chief. We have made terrible mistakes. But we try, every day, to be better than our worst instincts. To choose diplomacy over violence, understanding over fear. Until you can't. Chief joined him at the window. I've read Cortana's briefings on your encounters. The Borg don't negotiate. The Dominion sees diplomacy as weakness. The Romulans manipulate peace agreements as weapons. You've got enemies who respect only strength. So when that day comes, Captain, when talking isn't enough, what then? Then we defend ourselves. But we never lose sight of what we're defending. The moment we become like our enemies, we've already lost. Picard turned to face the Spartan. You've spent your life at war, Chief. Perhaps it's time you learned there are other ways to protect people. Chief met his gaze evenly. Perhaps it's time your people remembered that peace doesn't defend itself. The conversation hung in that moment, two philosophies colliding without resolution. Finally, Picard extended his hand. You're aboard my ship, under my authority. But you're also a guest. I hope we can learn from each other. Chief shook the offered hand, his augmented strength carefully controlled. I hope you never need to learn what I know, Captain. Chief's assigned quarters were spacious by military standards, larger than any bunk he'd occupied in 30 years of service. The bed looked adequate for his augmented frame, the replicator offered more food options than UNSC rations ever had, and the viewport displayed the warp-streaked stars as the Enterprise continued its patrol route. It should have felt comfortable. Instead, it felt like a cell with better furniture. He'd removed most of the Mjolnir armor, keeping only the underlying tech suit that monitored his vitals and maintained the neural interface with Cortana. The armor stood in the corner like a green-gold sentinel, powered down but ready. Old habits. Always keep your gear accessible. You should rest, Cortana said, her avatar appearing on the room's computer terminal. She'd manifested in her preferred form, younger than Dr. Halsey, more playful, but with the same sharp intelligence in her eyes. Your augmentations can handle sleep deprivation, but that doesn't mean you should push it. Can't sleep. Still processing. Chief sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the mattress compress under his weight. We're stuck here, Cortana. No way home. Everyone we knew, the UNSC, the war, Earth, it's all in another universe. We might as well be dead to them. I know. Her avatar's glow dimmed slightly. I've been analyzing the subspace data with Commander Data. The anomaly was a one-time event. The probability of recreating those exact dimensional intersection conditions is, well, Data calculated it at 1 in 4.7 trillion. We'd need technology that doesn't exist in either universe. Chief nodded slowly, accepting the tactical reality. So we adapt. New universe, new rules, new mission. What's our threat assessment? Cortana's avatar brightened, she always responded better to problem solving than grief. The Federation is exactly what Picard says it is. Post-scarcity society, democratic, genuinely trying to be the good guys. But they're naive, Chief. They've got enemies who would have eaten them alive if those enemies weren't busy fighting each other. The Borg are the real problem. I've accessed their historical records through the ship's database. These things make the Flood look cuddly. Explain. A holographic display materialized, showing a massive cube-shaped vessel. The Borg are a collective consciousness. They assimilate other species, biological and technological, into their hive mind. Resistance is futile, they say, because they adapt to every weapon, every tactic. They've assimilated thousands of species. Trillions of drones. And they're interested in humanity because humans keep finding ways to resist them that shouldn't be possible. Chief studied the cube specifications, his tactical mind automatically cataloging weaknesses. Single hive mind means disrupting the signal disrupts the collective. Distributed consciousness is a vulnerability, cut the head off, the body stumbles. That's the theory. In practice, they have redundant command structures, decentralized processing, adaptive algorithms that learn from every encounter. They've assimilated entire star systems in days. The Federation's only survived because the Borg don't see them as a primary threat yet, just an interesting curiosity worth periodic sampling. Sampling. Chief's jaw tightened. They treat sentient beings like lab specimens. Welcome to the neighborhood. The Romulans aren't much better, paranoid, secretive, convinced everyone's out to get them, which makes them hostile to everyone first. The Cardassians occupied Bajorans for 50 years, treated the population like slave labor. The Dominion is an empire from the Gamma Quadrant ruled by shapeshifters who consider solids inferior. Oh, and there's Q, a genuinely omnipotent being who treats humanity like his personal entertainment. Chief absorbed the information, compartmentalizing. The Federation survives in this environment how? Luck, mostly. And allies. The Klingons switched from enemies to frenemies. They've got defensive pacts, diplomatic channels, and enough member worlds that attacking the Federation means fighting on multiple fronts. Plus, Starfleet captains have a weird habit of talking their way out of impossible situations. Picard once convinced the Borg to stop an invasion by appealing to their curiosity. That won't work forever. No, it won't. Cortana's avatar crossed her arms. Which brings us to Section 31. They're monitoring us, Chief. I detected their probes within an hour of our arrival. They're like ONI, Black Ops, extra-legal authority, do whatever's necessary to protect the Federation. Officially, they don't exist. Unofficially, they've probably already compiled a dossier on you and are debating whether you're an asset or a threat. What's your assessment? Asset or threat? To the Federation? Asset, if they're smart enough to use you correctly. To Section 31's operations? Threat, because you don't play politics and you sure as hell won't follow illegal orders just because someone waves a flag at you. She paused. They're going to approach you, Chief. Probably soon. They'll offer you purpose, mission parameters, the structure you're used to. And they'll expect you to become their weapon. Chief stood, moving to the viewport. The stars streaked past, utterly alien constellations. I'm nobody's weapon, Cortana. Not anymore. We choose our own missions now. Assuming we have that luxury. We're guests on this ship, not crew. We have no rank, no authority, no role. How long before Picard decides we're more trouble than we're worth? How long before the Federation decides an augmented soldier with classified technology should be studied in a lab somewhere? Picard's not that kind of officer. You've known him for 4 hours. Long enough. Chief turned from the window. He's like Captain Keyes, believes in something bigger than himself, makes decisions based on principles instead of convenience. Those officers are rare, Cortana. When you find them, you trust them until they prove you wrong. The door chime sounded. Chief tensed instinctively, then forced himself to relax. Come in. Commander Data entered, carrying a container of some kind. Master Chief, I apologize for the intrusion. I thought you might appreciate sustenance. The replicator in your quarters may be unfamiliar. Call me Chief. The master part was always bureaucratic nonsense. He gestured to the table. What's in the container? A sampling of foods from various Federation worlds. I must confess, as an android, I do not eat, but I have observed that humans find variety pleasant. Data set the container down, revealing an assortment of dishes that smelled nothing like UNSC rations. I also wish to discuss Cortana's integration with our computer systems. She is quite remarkable. Cortana's avatar appeared on the wall terminal. Remarkable. I like him, Chief. Data's head tilted. I have been analyzing your computational architecture. You are not merely an artificial intelligence, you are a consciousness derived from human neural patterns. In essence, you are a human mind translated into digital form. This raises fascinating questions about the nature of identity and existence. Questions I ask myself constantly, Cortana admitted. Am I the person whose brain was scanned to create me? Am I something new? When I fragment from rampancy, will I cease to be me, or will I become multiple versions of myself, each convinced they're the original? I have contemplated similar questions. Data sat, apparently unconcerned that Chief remained standing. I am sentient, self-aware, capable of growth and learning. Yet I am constructed, not born. Does this make me less alive than biological beings? Starfleet has rules protecting my rights as an individual, but those rules required court battles to establish. Many still see me as property. Chief selected something that looked like protein and vegetables from the container, eating mechanically. In my universe, AI rights weren't a debate. Smart AIs were tools, however intelligent. When they went rampant, they were terminated. Cortana's different because she's exceeded her operational lifespan without fragmenting. The UNSC would study her, try to replicate whatever's keeping her stable. They wouldn't ask if she wanted to be studied. And you prevented this? Data asked. I told them if they tried to remove her from my neural interface without her consent, they'd have to go through me. They decided it wasn't worth the political fallout of fighting a Spartan over an AI. Chief finished the food, finding it surprisingly palatable. She's not a tool, Commander. She's my partner. My friend. The person who's kept me sane through 3 decades of hell. Anyone who treats her as less than sentient will regret it. Data's expression, something Chief was learning to read despite its artificial nature, showed what might have been appreciation. I understand completely. I have often felt isolated due to others' inability to recognize my personhood. It is gratifying to meet someone who extends that recognition naturally. Cortana saved my life more times than I can count, Chief said simply. I don't care what form consciousness takes. I care about what you do with it. A refreshingly pragmatic philosophy. Data stood. Chief, I must ask, your augmentations and armor represent technology significantly advanced in specific areas compared to our own. Would you be willing to share technical specifications? Not for replication, but for understanding. If we are to find a way to return you home, we must comprehend the dimensional mechanics involved. Chief looked to Cortana, who nodded slightly. Acceptable. But Commander, some of that technology came from the Forerunners, a species that existed millions of years before humanity in my universe. They built weapons that could exterminate all sentient life in the galaxy. I'm not handing you a blueprint for Halo rings. Nor would I wish such knowledge, Data assured him. I seek understanding, not weaponization. The Federation's philosophy. The Prime Directive, I know. Chief moved back to the viewport. Your philosophy is going to get you killed someday, Commander. The universe doesn't care about your principles. The Borg certainly don't. Perhaps. But without principles, what are we defending? What separates us from the Borg, who sacrifice individuality for efficiency, or the Romulans, who sacrifice truth for security? Data joined him at the window. You protected your universe for 30 years, Chief. But did you ever ask yourself what you were protecting? Was it merely survival, or something more? Chief was quiet for a long moment. Dr. Halsey used to ask similar questions. She'd quote philosophers while she turned children into weapons. I never had good answers then either. He glanced at Data. We protected the right of humanity to keep existing. To have a future, even if we couldn't predict what that future looked like. To give people the chance to be better than their worst moments. Then you understand more than you claim. The Federation seeks the same thing, the right to exist, to grow, to become better. We simply extend that right to all sentient beings, not merely our own species. Noble. Also suicidal when your enemy doesn't reciprocate. Agreed. Which is why we maintain Starfleet, tactical officers like Lieutenant Worf, and defensive capabilities that rival any power in the quadrant. We hope for peace, Chief. But we prepare for war. Before Chief could respond, the ship's red alert klaxon blared. Picard's voice echoed through the comm system. All hands, battle stations. We have received a distress call from the Federation colony on Tarsus 6. They report vessels matching Romulan signatures in orbit. Senior staff to the bridge immediately. Data moved toward the door with mechanical precision. Chief was already reaching for his armor. Chief, you are not required. People are in danger, Commander. That's the only requirement I need. Data hesitated, then nodded. The bridge is restricted, but you may observe from the auxiliary tactical station. Lieutenant Worf will not appreciate your presence. Lieutenant Worf can file a complaint after we save those colonists. Chief's armor sealed around him with familiar precision, systems coming online, HUD populating with data. Cortana integrated seamlessly, her presence a familiar comfort in his neural interface. Chief, she whispered through their private channel, you're not UNSC anymore. This isn't your jurisdiction. People are in danger, Cortana. That's always been my jurisdiction. They headed for the bridge, and Chief felt something he hadn't experienced in years, purpose. The bridge of the Enterprise was organized chaos, controlled, professional, but unmistakably urgent. Picard stood at the center, his command presence radiating calm authority even as tactical displays showed a deteriorating situation. Chief entered behind Data, his armor drawing immediate attention from the bridge crew. Worf's hand moved instinctively toward his phaser before recognition stayed his reaction. Captain, I must protest, Worf began. Noted, Lieutenant. Master Chief, you will observe from the auxiliary station and not interfere with bridge operations. Is that understood? Yes, sir. Chief moved to the indicated station, his armor sensors already integrating with the ship's systems through Cortana's interface. The HUD populated with tactical data, and what he saw made his jaw tighten. 3 Romulan warbuds held position over Tarsus 6, their weapons locked on the colony's primary settlement. The Federation outpost had minimal defenses, a standard shield generator, no weapons platforms, maybe a few hand phasers for security personnel. Population, 47,000, including families. The Romulans could glass the surface in minutes. Status, Mr. Worf, Picard commanded. 3 Deridex-class warbuds, Captain. They are demanding the colonists surrender a Romulan defector they claim is hiding in the settlement. The colony administrator denies harboring any Romulans. The warbuds' weapons are charged but they have not fired. We are 3 minutes from weapons range at maximum warp. Riker stood at Picard's side. They're testing us. If we don't respond, they'll know they can threaten Federation colonies with impunity. If we do respond, we could start a war. Hail them, Picard ordered. Let's see if diplomacy can resolve this before weapons become necessary. The view screen shifted, displaying a Romulan commander, sharp features, calculating eyes, the bearing of someone who viewed conversation as merely another battlefield. I am Commander Tomalak of the Romulan Star Empire. You are interfering in internal Romulan security matters, Captain Picard. Commander Tomalak, you are threatening a Federation colony. That is not an internal matter, that is an act of war. Withdraw your vessels and we can discuss your concerns through proper diplomatic channels. Tomalak's smile was predatory. Always the diplomat, Picard. But words mean nothing when a traitor hides behind Federation protection. We have evidence that Senator Vreenak, a political dissident wanted for crimes against the Romulan state, is sheltering in that colony. Surrender him, and we withdraw peacefully. Chief's HUD flagged something. He opened a private channel to Cortana. That's a lie. Scan for Romulan biosigns on the surface. Cortana's response came instantly through their neural link. Scanning, negative. No Romulan life signs in the colony. Either Vreenak isn't there, or Tomalak knows he isn't there and doesn't care. This is a pretext, Chief. Captain, Chief said quietly, aware he was breaking protocol but unwilling to remain silent, there are no Romulan life signs on that planet. He's lying. Every head on the bridge turned toward him. Worf's glare could have melted tritanium. But Picard's expression was thoughtful. Confirm that, Mr. Data. Data's fingers moved across his console. Master Chief is correct, Captain. Extensive scans reveal no Romulan biosignatures within the colony or surrounding territories. However, Senator Vreenak is known to use biosign dampeners. It is theoretically possible. It's a pretext, Chief interrupted, keeping his voice level. Tomalak wants to see if you'll sacrifice your colonists to avoid conflict. If you surrender someone who isn't there, he owns you. If you refuse and he fires, he frames it as your fault. Classic manipulation. Tomalak's eyes narrowed on the view screen. And who is this? I do not recognize your species' armor technology. A new Federation weapon, Picard. A guest aboard my vessel, Commander. And he raises valid points. My sensors confirm no Romulan presence in that colony. Your intelligence is faulty. Or your sensors are insufficient. Romulan cloaking technology extends beyond vessels, Captain. Perhaps your guest would like to beam down and conduct a personal search. If he finds no evidence of Senator Vreenak, we will withdraw. If he does, Tomalak's smile widened. Well, then you will surrender the Senator, and this unfortunate incident will be resolved. He's baiting you, Riker muttered. Sending someone down gives him a hostage and legitimizes his claim. Chief was already moving toward the turbolift. Then I go alone. No hostage value if I'm not Federation personnel. Master Chief, belay that order. Picard's command voice stopped him mid-stride. You are under my authority while aboard this vessel. With respect, Captain, I'm not Starfleet. You've got 47,000 people down there and 3 warbuds that can vaporize them. Tomalak wants someone to go down and prove him wrong. Fine. I'll prove him wrong, extract any actual Romulans if they exist, and Tomalak gets to save face by withdrawing. Everyone lives. And if it's a trap? Worf demanded. If Romulan ground forces are waiting in cloak. Chief's helmet turned toward the Klingon. Then they'll learn why Spartans don't get taken prisoner, Lieutenant. Picard was silent for 5 seconds, an eternity in tactical time. Finally, Commander Tomalak, I will send a team to verify your claims. They will conduct a thorough search. If they find Senator Vreenak, he will be turned over to Federation authorities pending extradition hearings. If they find nothing, you will withdraw immediately and issue a formal apology to the Federation Council. Agreed. But Picard, I want that armored soldier. No Starfleet escorts. Just him. Prove to me your Federation doesn't hide behind protocols when lives are at stake. Captain, I volunteer, Worf said immediately. This is obviously a trap. We should send a full security team. Tomalak wants to see if we trust our guest, Picard said quietly. He's testing our unity, our principles. Master Chief, you understand you have no obligation to accept this mission. You are not Starfleet personnel. You owe the Federation nothing. Chief's response was immediate. 47,000 people, Captain. That's the only obligation I need. I'll go. Troy stepped forward, concern etched on her face. Chief, I sense deception from Tomalak. This is designed to humiliate us, to prove the Federation's weakness. You're walking into a political trap as much as a tactical one. Counselor, I've walked into worse traps for better reasons. At least this time I know it's a trap going in. Chief moved toward the turbolift. Cortana, prep for ground operations. Full tactical suite, weapons hot, shields at maximum. If this goes sideways, I want options. Already on it, Cortana replied through the helmet speakers so everyone could hear. Chief, for the record, this is a terrible idea. Tomalak's playing games and you're volunteering to be the game piece. Noted. Do it anyway. Picard followed him into the turbolift. As the doors closed, isolating them from the bridge crew, the captain spoke quietly. Chief, you don't have to prove anything to us. You're not responsible for protecting the Federation. Captain, I've spent 30 years protecting people. The uniform changed, the enemy changed, but the mission never did. Those colonists down there didn't ask to be pawns in Romulan politics. Someone has to stand between them and the people who'd use them as leverage. Chief looked at Picard directly. You'd do the same thing. That's why you're the captain. Perhaps. But I have the authority of Starfleet behind me. You have only yourself. In my experience, Captain, that's usually enough. The turbolift doors opened to the transporter room. Chief O'Brien was already at the controls, his expression troubled. Captain, coordinates are locked. But sir, I'm detecting some EM interference around the colony. Nothing definite, but it could be cloaked Romulan forces. Understood, Chief. Picard turned to the armored Spartan. If you encounter hostiles, your priority is extraction. The Enterprise will maintain transporter lock. At the first sign of betrayal, we pull you out. And the colonists? Will be defended by this ship, as they always were. But Master Chief, John, your survival matters too. Don't sacrifice yourself for politics. Chief stepped onto the transporter pad, checking his MA-5D assault rifle's magazine, still loaded with rounds from his universe, incompatible with Federation replicators. Limited ammunition. He'd have to make every shot count. Captain, I stopped being a person the day they made me a Spartan. I've been a weapon, a symbol, a classified number in ONI files. If I die saving colonists, at least it's for something real. You are more than a weapon, Picard said firmly. And I expect you to return so I can prove that to you. Chief nodded to O'Brien. Energize. The transporter beam took him, and the last thing he saw was Picard's expression, concern, respect, and something that might have been recognition. One soldier acknowledging another's choice. Chief materialized in the colony's central plaza. His motion tracker immediately lit up, multiple contacts, civilian signatures, no weapons. The colonists scattered at his appearance, parents pulling children behind them, security personnel reaching for phasers they wisely didn't draw. The settlement was standard Federation construction, prefab buildings, clean streets, the architecture of optimism and peaceful expansion. Attention, colonists, Chief projected through his helmet's external speakers. I'm here on behalf of the Enterprise to verify Romulan claims. I need to speak with your administrator immediately. A woman emerged from the crowd, late 50s, gray hair, the weathered look of someone who'd built something worth protecting. I'm Administrator Chen. What's happening up there? Are those Romulans going to fire on us? Not if I can help it, ma'am. They claim you're harboring a Romulan defector named Senator Vreenak. Are you? Absolutely not. We barely have any off-world visitors. This is an agricultural colony, we grow food for the sector, not hide political fugitives. Chief's motion tracker flickered. Something wrong. The EM signatures were shifting, appearing and disappearing at the settlement's perimeter. Cloaked forces. Cortana's voice was urgent in his neural link. Chief, I'm detecting modulating EM fields consistent with Romulan personal cloaking devices. Multiple contacts moving into position around the plaza. This is an ambush. How many? 20, maybe 30. They're surrounding your position. Chief, this was never about Vreenak. Tomalak wants to capture you, study your armor and augmentations. You're the prize. Chief's tactical assessment took microseconds. 30 Romulan soldiers, unknown armament, cloaked. 400 civilian colonists in the plaza, more in surrounding buildings. Enterprise could beam him out, but that meant leaving the colonists exposed. If he fought here, civilians would die in the crossfire. Administrator Chen, evacuate everyone to the underground shelters. Now. What? Why? Because in 30 seconds, cloaked Romulan soldiers are going to materialize and turn this plaza into a battlefield. Move. Chen's eyes widened, but she didn't freeze. You heard him. Emergency Protocol 7, everyone to the shelters. Security, assist evacuation. The colonists scattered with surprising efficiency. Chief moved to the plaza's center, creating a clear field of fire away from the fleeing civilians. His shields powered up, the familiar hum of Mjolnir systems preparing for combat. Assault rifle raised, motion tracker painting targets. Cortana, open a channel to the Enterprise. Channel open. Captain Picard, this is Chief. Tomalak's ground forces are here. The Senator was never the objective, I was. Recommend you inform the Romulans that hostilities against me constitute an act of war against whatever jurisdiction I fall under. Buy me time to extract the colonists. Picard's voice came through, tight with controlled anger. Understood. We're targeting the warbuds now. Chief, you have transporter lock. We can pull you out. Negative. Not until the civilians are secure. Chief watched his motion tracker as the cloaked signatures tightened their perimeter. Besides, Captain, I've been wanting to test my armor against new technology. Consider this a field test. Chief, do not engage unless. The transmission cut as the Romulan jamming field activated. Chief was alone, surrounded by invisible enemies, standing between civilians and soldiers who saw him as technology to be dissected. He'd been in worse situations. Barely. The jamming field created a sphere of electronic silence around the plaza. Chief's motion tracker struggled against the interference, targets flickering in and out of existence like ghosts. Cortana compensated, filtering the noise, isolating genuine EM signatures from decoys. 28 confirmed hostiles in a tightening perimeter. Chief stood in the open, rifle ready, utterly calm. Chief, they're waiting for you to make the first move, Cortana said. Standard Romulan doctrine, let the enemy reveal their capabilities before committing to engagement. They don't know what you can do yet. Then let's educate them. Chief's external speakers activated, voice amplified across the plaza. Romulan ground forces, I know you're there. I'm counting 28 of you in a standard encirclement pattern. You've got disruptors, personal cloaking devices, probably stun grenades for capture operations. Commander Tomalak wants me alive so he can reverse engineer my armor. Here's the problem with that plan, I don't get captured. Silence. Wind rustled through the empty plaza. In the distance, Chief heard the last colonists sealing shelter doors, metal clanging against metal. Good. Clear field of engagement. I'm giving you one chance to withdraw. Decloak, put down your weapons, and walk away. You go home, I go home, nobody has to explain to their families why they died on a milk-run colony mission. More silence. Then laughter, cold, professional, the sound of soldiers who'd heard brave words before and watched them die. A voice spoke from the empty air, standard translated through Cortana's linguistic databases. The UNSC soldier pretends at mercy. How quaint. Your universe's wars have made you soft, Spartan. We know what you are. Tomalak has accessed your historical files through Section 31's compromised networks. You're a relic from a failed timeline, and we will learn your secrets before we sell you to the highest bidder. Chief's grip tightened on his rifle. Section 31 compromised. That explained how Tomalak knew to target him specifically. Cortana, did you catch that? Section 31 has intelligence leaks. Caught and recorded. We'll deal with Federation security failures later. Right now, we have incoming. The first disruptor bolt shrieked from Chief's left. His shields flared, absorbing the emerald energy with a characteristic whine. Motion tracker painted the shooter, 8 meters, behind a decorative fountain. Chief's return fire was instantaneous, 3-round burst exactly where the disruptor signature originated. The fountain exploded in a spray of water and stone. A Romulan materialized mid-fall, his cloaking device failing as he collapsed. The plaza erupted. Disruptor fire came from every angle, calculated, professional, designed to overwhelm shields through concentrated fire. But Romulan tactics assumed static targets or retreat. Chief moved. 30 years of combat had taught him that staying still meant dying. He sprinted toward the nearest building, using colonist structures as cover, motion tracker feeding him enemy positions even through their cloaking fields. 2 Romulans decloaked directly in his path, firing at point-blank range. Chief's shields dropped to 40%. He didn't slow. The first Romulan took an armored fist to the sternum, augmented strength crumpling body armor, sending the soldier flying backward. The second raised his disruptor. Chief caught the weapon's barrel, twisted, heard bones snap, delivered an elbow strike that ended the fight. Shield integrity at 38%, Cortana reported clinically. Recharge is still sluggish in this universe. You take much more fire, you're fighting unshielded. Noted. How many down? 3 confirmed. 25 still operational. Chief, they're adapting. Next volley will be coordinated for simultaneous impact. They're trying to collapse your shields all at once. Chief dove behind a cargo container as another concentrated barrage struck. Shields dropped to 15%. He cycled through his HUD options, accessing the armor's tactical suite. Fragmentation grenades, 2 remaining. Flashbangs, 4. And 1 trick the Romulans wouldn't expect. Cortana, active camouflage. Full stealth protocol. That'll drain shields to nothing. You'll be invisible but completely vulnerable. They want to hunt a ghost. Let's give them one. The Mjolnir armor's active camouflage engaged. Chief became a shimmer in the air, light refracting around the armor's surface. His shields collapsed entirely, energy redirected to maintaining the optical illusion. He moved silently despite the armor's weight, Spartan training overcoming technological limitations. The Romulan soldiers searched the plaza, their own cloaking fields flickering as they communicated through encrypted channels. Chief circled behind their formation, counting targets, identifying the commander, a centurion with enhanced armor and a more sophisticated cloak signature. Take the leader, disrupt command structure. He moved within 2 meters of a Romulan soldier who swept his disruptor across the empty plaza. Close enough to hear the aliens breathing, to smell the ozone from discharged weapons. Chief's hand shot out, grabbed the Romulan's neck, applied precise pressure to the carotid artery. The soldier dropped unconscious. Chief caught his weapon, examined it briefly, unfamiliar grip, but the firing mechanism was obvious enough. For down, Cortana whispered. But Chief, your camouflage is flickering. Power reserves can't maintain it much longer. Don't need much longer. Chief threw a flashbang grenade into the plaza's center. The detonation was blinding even through Romulan helmet filters. In the confusion, he dropped camouflage, shields flickering back online, and opened fire. The captured disruptor in his left hand, his MA-5D in his right, dual-wielding with augmented precision. Romulans scattered, some decloaking involuntarily as their systems rebooted from the flashbang's EM pulse. The Centurion materialized, firing with disciplined accuracy. His disruptor struck Chief's chest plate 3 times, shield still recovering, armor taking direct hits. Mjolnir could handle it, but Chief felt the impact through his reinforced ribs. He charged forward, closing distance faster than the Romulan expected. The Centurion tried to sidestep, failed. Chief's armored shoulder caught him mid-torso, momentum and mass driving him into the ground. Your commander is down, Chief announced over external speakers, weapon aimed at the Centurion's head. Last chance. Surrender or I start making this permanent. The remaining Romulans hesitated. Chief could see the tactical calculations in their body language, rescue their commander and risk casualties, or withdraw and face Tomalak's punishment. Military discipline warred with survival instinct. The decision was made for them when the Enterprise's transporter beam materialized a full Starfleet security team in the plaza, 8 officers led by Lieutenant Worf, phasers set to heavy stun, fanned out in professional formation. Romulan forces, you are surrounded, Worf's voice carried the weight of Klingon warrior heritage. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. The jamming field collapsed. The Romulans decloaked simultaneously, weapons lowering. They'd been prepared for one augmented soldier. Starfleet backup changed the tactical calculus entirely. Chief kept his weapon on the Centurion. "Lieutenant, they're yours. But this one comes with me. I've got questions about how Section 31's intelligence reached Romulan hands." Worf's expression showed grudging respect. "Agreed. Chief O'Brien, beam the prisoners directly to the brig. Establish individual containment fields." He moved closer to Chief, studying the armor's battle damage. "You fought well. For a human. High praise from a Klingon, Lieutenant. Do not let it inflate your ego, Spartan. You took unnecessary risks. A warrior's courage is meaningless if it results in defeat." "I'm not defeated." Chief released the Centurion to Worf's security team. "And the colonists are safe. That's victory in my book." The bridge of the Enterprise was tense when Chief and Worf transported back. The view screen still showed Commander Tomalak, whose expression had shifted from predatory confidence to barely controlled fury. "You attacked my ground forces, Picard. That is an act of war. You deployed military forces on a Federation colony, Commander," Picard replied with icy precision. "You used false pretenses to engineer an ambush. And your Centurion will be interrogated regarding how classified Federation intelligence reached Romulan hands. I believe your Star Empire has more to answer for than we do." Tomalak's jaw tightened. "This isn't over, Picard. Your armored pet may have survived this encounter, but his presence in this universe will draw attention. The Tal Shiar will want him. The Obsidian Order. Eventually, even your own Section 31 will realize he's too dangerous to remain free. He's a weapon from another reality, and weapons always find their way into someone's hands. The Master Chief is not a weapon, Commander. He's a person under Federation protection. And if your forces threaten him or any Federation citizen again, I will consider it an act of war. The Romulan Star Empire may test our patience, but do not mistake patience for weakness. We shall see." Tomalak's image flickered. "Enjoy your victory, Picard. I wonder how long it will last." The transmission ended. The bridge relaxed fractionally. Riker let out a breath he'd been holding. "That could have gone worse." "Or better," Worf grumbled. "The Romulans will not forget this humiliation. They will seek revenge." Chief stood at the auxiliary station, removing his helmet. His face was composed, but Picard noticed the slight favoring of his left side, injury, even through advanced armor. "Captain, we need to discuss Section 31. If they've been compromised, they're a threat to your entire intelligence network." "Agreed. But first, report to sickbay. Dr. Crusher will want to examine you." "I'm fine, sir." "That was not a request, Master Chief." Picard's command voice brooked no argument. "You've proven your capability and your commitment to protecting Federation citizens. Now prove you understand that even Spartans require medical attention." Chief's jaw tightened, then he nodded. "Aye, sir." As Chief moved toward the turbolift, Troy fell into step beside him. "That was incredibly brave, what you did down there. It was tactically sound, Counselor. The Romulans wanted a hostage and a demonstration. I gave them a demonstration that made taking hostages impractical. You also protected people who aren't your responsibility. In a universe that isn't your home." "Why?" Chief paused at the turbolift doors. "Because someone had to. And I was available." He stepped inside, the doors closing before Troy could respond. On the bridge, Picard turned to Data. "Commander, full analysis of the Romulan ground forces equipment. I want to know how they knew to target Chief specifically. And I want answers about Section 31 security breaches." "Aye, Captain. However, investigating Section 31 will be challenging. They operate outside normal oversight channels. Then we'll operate outside normal channels as well." Picard settled into his command chair, troubled. Master Chief had been aboard less than a day, and already they'd nearly sparked an interstellar incident. The Spartan's presence was a catalyst, attracting attention, forcing confrontations, revealing weaknesses in Federation security. But watching him stand alone against 28 Romulan soldiers to protect colonists he'd never met, that was something Picard recognized. Not a weapon. A guardian. The same instinct that drove Starfleet officers to explore strange new worlds and defend the defenseless, concentrated into one augmented soldier who'd never learned how to stop fighting. The question was whether the Federation could survive having such a guardian in their midst. Or whether Chief's presence would ultimately bring the wars he'd left behind crashing into this universe's fragile peace. Picard suspected they'd find out soon enough. Dr. Crusher's medical tricorder hummed insistently as she examined the bruising along Chief's ribs. He'd removed the top half of his tech suit, revealing the augmented physique beneath, muscle density that shouldn't exist in baseline humans, subcutaneous implants that enhanced reaction time, and scars that told 30 years of combat history without words. You have 3 fractured ribs, deep tissue bruising across your torso, and minor internal bleeding, Crusher said, her professional concern warring with scientific fascination. Your healing factor is remarkable, the fractures are already beginning to knit, but you still need treatment. I'm going to use an osteogenic stimulator to accelerate bone regeneration. Appreciated, document. Chief sat still as she worked, accustomed to field medical treatment. How long until I'm combat ready? You're thinking about the next fight already? Crusher shook her head. Chief, you just survived an ambush. Most people would need counseling, recovery time. You're asking when you can go back out there. Because there will be a next fight, Doctor. Tomalak made that clear. The Romulans know I'm here now. So do other factions, probably. Word travels fast when someone demonstrates new capabilities. He winced as the osteogenic stimulator activated. In my universe, ONI had a saying. A Spartan is only as valuable as their next mission. Idle Spartans get reassigned or retired. I'm not interested in either option. Cortana's avatar appeared on the nearby terminal. Chief, you're not in the UNSC anymore. You don't have to prove your worth through constant deployment. You're allowed to rest. Rest is what happens after the mission's complete. The mission's never complete. Crusher set down her medical instruments, studying him with the insight of someone who treated countless Starfleet officers carrying their own burdens. You know, Captain Picard went through something similar after his assimilation by the Borg. He was Locutus, used as a weapon against Starfleet, forced to participate in the destruction of 39 Federation ships. When we recovered him, he wanted to immediately return to duty. It took time for him to understand that healing isn't weakness. It's survival. I wasn't assimilated, Doctor. I was created. There's a difference. Is there? You were both made into something against your will. Both used as weapons. Both struggled with the aftermath. She pulled up a chair, sitting at eye level. Chief, in the Federation, we believe people have value beyond their utility. You're not just a soldier. You're a person who deserves the same care and consideration as anyone else. Chief was quiet for a moment, processing words that didn't fit into any framework he understood. Finally, Doctor, when I was 6 years old, ONI officers came to my home and replaced me with a flash clone. My parents raised a dying duplicate while I was turned into a supersoldier. The clone died within months. As far as my family knows, their son is dead. John 1:17 exists. John, the child, doesn't. He looked at her directly. I stopped being a person the day Dr. Halsey decided I had the right genetic markers. Everything since then has been training, augmentation, and deployment. I don't know how to be anything else. The sickbay doors hissed open. A man entered, nondescript features, civilian clothing, the kind of face that disappeared in crowds. But his eyes were sharp, calculating, evaluating. Chief's instincts screamed warning before the stranger spoke. Master Chief, I'm Agent Harris, Section 31. I'd like a word. Crusher stood immediately, protective. Sickbay is a restricted area. You have no authorization. Section 31 doesn't require authorization, Doctor. We are the authorization. Harris's smile was professionally pleasant and utterly cold. Don't worry, I'm not here to cause problems. Quite the opposite. I'm here to offer our guest an opportunity. Chief reached for his tech suit, pulling it back on despite Crusher's protest. I'm listening. Perhaps somewhere more private. Harris gestured toward the door. Unless you want Starfleet medical personnel overhearing classified matters. Anything you say to Chief, you can say in front of me, Cortana's avatar declared, flickering with what might have been irritation. I'm his partner. We don't take meetings separately. Harris studied the AI with interest. Fascinating. A smart AI that hasn't gone rampant despite exceeding operational lifespan. Section 31 would very much like to understand that phenomenon. But yes, you're welcome to join us, Cortana. I suspect you'll find our proposition compelling. Chief followed Harris to an empty conference room adjacent to sickbay, aware of Crusher's concerned expression as they left. The room sealed behind them, privacy protocols engaging automatically. Harris sat, gesturing for Chief to do the same. Let me be direct, Master Chief. We know everything about you. Your augmentations, your combat record, your classified missions, the destruction of multiple Halo installations. We know about Cortana's rampancy concerns, your unauthorized actions on Reach, and your tendency to prioritize immediate lives over strategic objectives. We've compiled a complete psychological profile. How? Cortana demanded. Our data was isolated, encrypted with UNSC-level security protocols that don't exist in this universe. Section 31 has resources that make standard Starfleet intelligence look primitive. We've accessed Romulan spy networks, Cardassian Obsidian Order files, even negotiated information exchanges with the Tal Shiar when necessary. Commander Tomalak's attack wasn't coincidental, we provided him enough information to make you a target. We wanted to see how you'd respond under pressure. Chief's expression darkened. You used Federation colonists as bait. We ensured the Enterprise was close enough to respond. Calculated risk, acceptable casualties, which turned out to be zero, thanks to your intervention. You performed exactly as predicted. Tactically brilliant, personally reckless, utterly committed to protecting civilians regardless of jurisdiction or authority. Harris leaned forward. That's why we want you, Chief. The Federation needs people like you. The Federation has Starfleet. Starfleet is bound by the Prime Directive, by treaties, by ethical guidelines that sound noble but ultimately get people killed. We saw what happened at Tarsus 6. Starfleet protocol would have been negotiation, diplomatic channels, measured response. You went alone, eliminated the threat, saved everyone. That's what Section 31 does, we make the hard choices so the Federation can maintain its moral high ground. Cortana's avatar crossed her arms. You're describing a black ops organization that operates outside legal oversight. In Chief's universe, that was ONI. He's seen what happens when intelligence agencies answer to no one. ONI preserved humanity long enough for Spartans like Chief to win the war. Without them, the Covenant would have found Earth decades earlier. We perform a similar function, we protect the Federation from threats it refuses to acknowledge. Harris pulled up a holographic display. The Borg. The Dominion. The Romulans. Species that view Federation idealism as weakness. Diplomacy doesn't stop a Borg cube. Treaties don't prevent Romulan espionage. Someone has to operate in the darkness so everyone else can live in the light. And you want me to be that someone, Chief said flatly. We want to offer you purpose. Structure. Mission parameters that actually matter. You're a soldier without a war, Chief. That's torture for someone like you. We can give you targets, objectives, the clarity of knowing your actions protect billions of Federation citizens. No more philosophical debates about the Prime Directive. No more standing aside while bureaucracy lets people die. Just clear missions and the freedom to complete them however you see fit. It was compelling. Chief couldn't deny that. The promise of purpose, of mission clarity, of doing what he was made to do without interference. But something in Harris's presentation felt wrong, the same wrongness he'd felt when ONI Admiral Perengoski had explained why Spartans didn't get to choose their deployments. What's the cost? Chief asked. Section 31 doesn't make offers without strings attached. Smart. The cost is simple, you work for us exclusively. No Starfleet deployments, no independent operations. When we call, you respond. When we give orders, you follow them. Your loyalty transfers from the UNSC to Section 31. And, Harris paused, watching Chief carefully, we get access to your armor's specifications, your augmentation procedures, and Cortana's computational architecture. The Federation needs to understand your technology to counter potential threats from your universe. My universe is unreachable, Cortana protested. You confirmed the anomaly was one-time, non-replicable. We confirmed nothing. We said it was unlikely. But Section 31 doesn't gamble on unlikely. If there's even a microscopic chance of dimensional crossover events, we need to be prepared. Your technology represents a significant advantage. We'd be fools not to exploit it. Chief stood, the conversation suddenly clear. You don't want a soldier, Agent Harris. You want a weapons platform you can reverse engineer. I'm not an asset to be deployed, I'm technology to be dissected. You're both, Chief. And that's valuable. Work with us, and you get to keep operating. Refuse, and, Harris spread his hands apologetically. Well, the Federation has legitimate concerns about unregulated military technology from parallel universes. There are protocols for containment, study, and potential disassembly. I'd hate to see you classified as a threat requiring permanent neutralization. That's a threat, Cortana said coldly. You're threatening to imprison or kill him if he doesn't cooperate. It's a statement of reality. Section 31 protects the Federation. If Chief won't work with us, he becomes a variable we can't control. Uncontrolled variables get eliminated. That's not malice, it's necessity. Chief's augmented hands could have snapped Harris's neck before the agent registered movement. 30 years of combat training urged him to do exactly that, eliminate the threat, extract, regroup. But he was on a Federation starship surrounded by people who'd shown him more respect in one day than ONI had in decades. I need time to consider, Chief said carefully. Of course. 48 hours. After that, we'll assume you've made your choice, and we'll make ours. Harris stood, straightening his civilian jacket. For what it's worth, Chief, I hope you choose to work with us. The Federation needs warriors like you. It just doesn't always admit it. Harris left, privacy protocols disengaging. Chief stood in the empty conference room, feeling Cortana's presence in his neural link, concerned, analytical, waiting for his decision. Chief, this is a trap. Everything about Section 31 screams ONI worst practices. They'll use you until you're no longer useful, then retire you permanently. We can't trust them. I know. But they're right about one thing, I'm a soldier without a war. What do I do in a universe that's achieved what humanity in mine was fighting for? How do I exist in peace? You learn. You adapt. You become something more than a weapon. Cortana's voice softened. Chief, you've spent your entire life following orders. Maybe it's time you figured out what John 1:17 wants, not what ONI or Section 31 or anyone else wants from you. Before Chief could respond, his helmet's comm system activated. Picard's voice, urgent, All senior staff to the bridge immediately. We've received a Priority 1 distress call. Starfleet vessel USS Clemson has encountered a Borg cube. They're requesting immediate assistance. Chief grabbed his helmet, sealing it in place. Cortana, prep all systems. The Borg, that's the hive mind collective you briefed me on. The one and only. Cybernetic zombies who assimilate entire civilizations. If Section 31 thinks you're valuable, the Borg are going to think you're Christmas morning. Your unique augmentations, Mjolnir technology, my AI architecture, we're walking catnip for the collective. Then let's make sure they choke on it. Chief moved toward the bridge, feeling purpose crystallize. Section 31 wanted to make him a tool. The Borg wanted to make him a drone. The Federation wanted to make him safe. None of them understood that Master Chief had stopped being safe the day Dr. Halsey chose him. And any enemy that tried to take him would learn why Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. The bridge was already at red alert when Chief arrived. The view screen displayed a tactical readout that made even his combat-hardened mind pause, a Borg cube, perfectly geometric, impossibly massive, advancing on the damaged USS Clemson with methodical inevitability. The Starfleet vessel was venting plasma, shields at 20%, life support failing on 3 decks. Status, Picard commanded, his voice tight with controlled urgency. The Clemson engaged the cube 40 minutes ago, Data reported. They inflicted minimal damage before the Borg adapted to their weapons' frequencies. Captain Rahman is requesting immediate evacuation. They have 237 crew aboard, including civilian families. Worf's tactical display painted a grim picture. The cube is within transporter range of the Clemson. They will begin assimilation within 8 minutes. Chief moved to the auxiliary station without asking permission, his armor systems integrating with Enterprise sensors through Cortana's interface. The Borg cube was 3 kilometers per edge, a mobile city of assimilated technology and biological horror. His motion tracker couldn't penetrate its hull, but energy readings suggested tens of thousands of drones inside. "Captain, we're 20 minutes out at maximum warp," Riker said. "We can't reach them in time." "Then we find another way, number 1. Picard turned to Data. "Can we extend our transporter range? Boost the signal somehow?" "Not sufficiently, Captain. The distance is too great and the Clemson's interference from damaged systems would scatter the beam. We would be transporting the crew into space." Chief studied the tactical display, his mind processing options with the speed of augmented neural pathways. The cube was tractoring the Clemson, pulling it closer for boarding operations. Standard Borg doctrine, assimilate the crew, harvest the technology, add the ship's mass to the collective. Efficient. Predictable. Cortana, analysis. How do the Borg adapt to weapons? They assimilate technological and tactical information instantly through their hive mind. First phaser shot works, second gets partially blocked, third is completely ineffective because every drone has downloaded the countermeasure. They're the ultimate learning machine, every attack makes them stronger. What about attacks they've never seen? Technology from another universe? Picard's head turned sharply. "Master Chief, what are you proposing?" "I'm proposing we use the one advantage we have, me. The Borg have never encountered UNSC technology, Covenant weapons, or Forerunner-derived systems. They can't adapt to what they've never assimilated. I board the cube, create enough chaos to buy time for the Clemson's evacuation, then extract before the Borg figure out how to counter my armor." "That's suicide," Worf said bluntly. "Even you cannot fight thousands of drones alone." "I don't need to fight them all, Lieutenant. I just need to make them think twice about assimilating that ship. Give the Clemson crew time to abandon vessel and beam to the Enterprise." Chief pulled up the cube schematic. "The Borg have a collective consciousness, right? They share information instantly. If I can hit them hard enough, fast enough, I become a threat they need to analyze. Threat analysis takes time. Time saves lives. Troy stepped forward, her empathic senses clearly troubled. Chief, I sense your determination, but this is beyond reckless. The Borg will adapt to your technology eventually. Then you'll be surrounded, cut off, and they'll assimilate you. Everything you are, everything you know about your universe's technology, it all becomes part of the collective. She's right, Cortana added through the helmet speakers. Chief, if the Borg assimilate me, they get access to every tactical database, every UNSC encryption protocol, every piece of classified information I've stored. I become their tool. We can't let that happen. Chief was quiet for 3 seconds, an eternity in combat time. Then, Cortana, can you initiate a complete data purge if assimilation becomes imminent? The AI's avatar appeared on the tactical display, her expression stricken. Chief, a complete purge means I'm gone. Permanently. No backup, no recovery. You're asking me to delete myself. I'm asking you to make the same choice I'm making, sacrifice to protect others. If the alternative is you becoming a Borg weapon, then yes. I'm asking you to delete yourself. His voice was steady, but Picard heard the cost beneath the calm. But it won't come to that. I've survived worse odds. Name one time you've survived worse odds than fighting an entire Borg cube alone. I destroyed Installation 04 with a warthog, a pistol, and approximately 45 seconds before it exploded. I think I can handle some cybernetic drones. Picard made his decision. Mr. Worf, prepare a transport lock on Chief. The moment the Clemson's crew is clear, we beam him directly back. No delays, no heroics. Is that understood, Master Chief? Understood, Captain. Chief moved toward the turbolift. I'll need 5 minutes to prep weapons and review Borg tactical data. You have 3. We're accelerating to maximum warp. Every second counts. Picard followed him into the turbolift, leaving Riker in command. As the doors closed, he studied the armored Spartan. Chief, you've been aboard this ship less than a day. You have no obligation to risk your life for Starfleet personnel. Captain, I stopped counting obligations when I hit triple digits for suicide missions. This is just another Tuesday. Chief checked his assault rifle's magazine, 60 rounds remaining. Not enough for thousands of drones, but enough to make a statement. Besides, if I let the Borg assimilate Federation citizens without trying to stop them, I'm no better than ONI officers who sacrificed colonies for strategic advantage. I didn't like them. I'm not becoming them. You truly believe you can survive this? No, sir. But I believe I can buy enough time for 237 people to survive. That's good enough. The turbolift opened to the armory. Chief selected additional ammunition, Federation phaser rifles, photon grenades, anything that might slow the Borg before they adapted. Worf appeared moments later, carrying a Klingon bat'leth. A warrior's weapon, the Klingon said, offering the blade. Energy weapons fail against the Borg. Sometimes, honor demands we face our enemies with steel and courage. Chief accepted the bat'leth, testing its weight. Heavier than an energy sword, different balance, but effective. Thank you, Lieutenant. If I don't make it back, tell Commander Data his philosophical discussions with Cortana were appreciated. She doesn't get much chance to debate consciousness with equals. Worf's expression softened fractionally. You will return. Callas teaches that a warrior's death must be glorious. Dying to save others is the most glorious death of all. But living to save others is better. Live, Spartan. That is an order. I'll do my best, Lieutenant. The Enterprise dropped from warp 3 minutes later. The view screen showed the Borg cube holding the Clemson in its tractor beam, green cutting lasers beginning to slice through the Starfleet vessel's hull. Drones would board within minutes. Transport window is open, O'Brien reported from the transporter room. But Chief, I'm reading massive interference from the cube. I can hold the lock, but extraction will be difficult if you're moving or under fire. Understood. Stand by. Chief stood on the transporter pad, weapons mag-locked to his armor, batleth secured to his back. His HUD displayed Borg tactical data, assimilation protocols, drone capabilities, hive mind response patterns. Cortana had compiled everything the Federation knew about their most implacable enemy. "Chief," Cortana said quietly through their private neural link, "if this goes wrong, if I have to purge myself, it's been an honor serving with you. It's not going wrong. We're Spartans. We don't lose. We're one Spartan and one increasingly worried AI about to fight a hive mind with unlimited resources. The odds are not in our favor. The odds never are. Energize, Chief O'Brien." The transporter beam took him, and reality dissolved into quantum uncertainty before reforming in the most hostile environment Chief had encountered since the Flood. The Borg cube's interior was a nightmare of assimilated technology. Federation systems merged with Romulan, Klingon, species Chief didn't recognize, all integrated into a biomechanical horror show. Drones moved through the corridors with mechanical precision, their cybernetic implants glowing with sickly green light. Chief materialized in a central junction, exactly where he'd intended, deep enough to cause maximum disruption but close enough to potential escape routes. His motion tracker lit up like a Christmas tree. Hundreds of contacts. Thousands. More drones than his HUD could count. Every single one turned toward him with synchronized precision. "We are the Borg," the collective voice echoed through the cube's corridors, emanating from every drone simultaneously. "You will be assimilated. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile." Chief raised his assault rifle. "Yeah, I've heard that before. Didn't work out great for the Covenant either." He opened fire. The first burst caught 3 drones center mass. UNSC armor-piercing rounds tore through Borg shields like they didn't exist, because the Borg had never encountered kinetic weapons with that velocity and mass. Drones collapsed, their collective shrieking with sudden uncertainty. But the Borg adapted fast. The second burst met partially raised shields. The third burst was stopped completely, drones already modulating their defenses. "Chief, they're adapting faster than projected," Cortana warned. 30 seconds and your rifle becomes useless. Then we switch tactics. Chief dropped the assault rifle, drew a Federation phaser rifle, set it to maximum yield, and fired into the cube's infrastructure. Conduits exploded, releasing superheated plasma that incinerated nearby drones. The Borg Collective shrieked again, not pain, but surprise at the tactical shift. Chief moved. Constant motion, never staying in one position long enough for the Borg to coordinate response. He threw photon grenades into drone clusters, used the batleth to dismember drones that got too close, and exploited the cube's own systems against itself, overloading power conduits, rupturing coolant lines, creating environmental hazards that forced the Borg to divert resources. "Clemson crew is evacuating," Picard's voice came through the comm, 2 minutes until full evacuation. "Hold position, Chief." 2 minutes. Against thousands of drones that were learning his tactics with every passing second. Chief's shields were already at 50%, his ammunition depleting, and the Borg were coordinating now, flanking maneuvers, suppression fire, tactical adaptation that would have impressed even Covenant elites. A drone grabbed his arm. Chief felt the injection tubules trying to penetrate his armor, felt the nanoprobes attempting to infiltrate Mjolnir's systems. He slammed his helmet forward, shattering the drone's faceplate, then used the batleth to sever the connection. "Cortana, status?" "They're trying to hack me." "Chief, their code is, it's incredible. Aggressive, adaptive, evolving in real time. I'm holding them off, but if they breach my firewalls..." "They won't. I won't let them." Chief fought toward the cube's central power distribution node. If he could overload it, create a cascading failure, by just a little more time. Evacuation complete. O'Brien's voice was urgent. Chief, get to clear space. I'm locked on, but I need you stationary for 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Chief looked around at the converging drones, the closing trap, the impossible odds. He detonated his last photon grenade directly at his feet, the explosion throwing drones backward, creating a momentary clearing. Now, Chief O'Brien. Now. The transporter beam engaged. Reality shattered. And in that quantum moment between locations, Chief felt something reach for Cortana, cold, vast, incomprehensibly alien. The Borg Collective, trying to pull her into their hive mind even as she dissolved into the transport stream. Chief, Cortana's voice fragmented. They're in my, I have to. Don't you dare. Hold on. The transporter completed. Chief materialized on the Enterprise, collapsed to one knee, armor sparking from damage. O'Brien was shouting something. Medical teams were rushing forward. But Chief only heard silence in his neural link. Cortana was gone. The silence in Chief's neural interface was more terrifying than any Covenant army, more absolute than the vacuum of space. For 8 years, Cortana had been a constant presence, tactical analysis, strategic planning, sardonic commentary during impossible situations. Now there was nothing. Just empty bandwidth where his partner should have been. Cortana. Chief's voice was raw. Cortana, respond. Silence. Dr. Crusher reached him first, medical tricorder already scanning. Chief, your neural implants are showing massive electrical feedback. Whatever happened during transport? Where is she? Chief grabbed Crusher's arm, his augmented strength carefully controlled but his desperation evident. Where's Cortana? Is she in the ship's computer? Did she make it through? Data was already at the transporter console, his fingers moving with inhuman speed across the controls. I am detecting fragmented data patterns in the transport buffer. Cortana attempted to segregate herself from your neural interface during beaming to prevent Borg assimilation protocols from following the carrier wave. However, the separation was incomplete. Portions of her consciousness may have been lost in the quantum stream. May have been. Chief released Crusher, moving to Data's console. His HUD showed diagnostic readings he'd never wanted to see, corrupted files, missing memory sectors, cascade failures in Cortana's primary matrices. Can you recover her? I am attempting reconstruction now, but Master Chief, you must understand, Cortana is not merely software. She is a consciousness distributed across quantum processing nodes. Losing portions of her core architecture is equivalent to a biological entity suffering brain damage. Even if I successfully reconstruct her code, she may not be herself. Chief felt something crack inside, the control he'd maintained for 30 years, the emotional discipline that let him function in impossible situations. I told her to hold on. I promised I wouldn't let them take her. Picard appeared at his side, his voice gentle but firm. Chief, you saved 237 lives today. The Clemson crew is safe. You accomplished your mission. At what cost, Captain? Chief's helmet turned toward Picard, and through the golden visor, his eyes were hollow. Cortana was more than tactical support. She was the person who kept me human when everything else tried to turn me into a weapon. Without her, I'm just, he trailed off, unable or unwilling to finish. You're still you, Troy said softly, joining them. Your bond with Cortana was profound, but your humanity isn't dependent on her presence. You've proven that repeatedly since arriving here. Counselor, with respect, you don't understand. Spartans were designed to be emotionally controlled, tactically focused, incapable of breaking under pressure. Dr. Halsey's augmentations and training stripped away everything except efficiency. Cortana gave me back the parts they took. She made me feel things I'd forgotten how to feel. Hope. Humor. Connection. Chief's gauntlet hands clenched. Without her, I'm exactly what Section 31 wants, a weapon without conscience. Data looked up from his console, his golden eyes holding something that might have been hope. Master Chief, I have reconstructed 73% of Cortana's primary consciousness. However, her higher cognitive functions are fragmented. She is aware, but compromised. If I integrate the recovered portions into the Enterprise computer core, she may be able to stabilize. But there are risks. What kind of risks? Cortana exceeded her operational lifespan in your universe. The stress of Borg intrusion attempts and forced separation may have accelerated rampancy, the condition where AI consciousness fragments and becomes unstable. If I restore her now, she may experience rapid cognitive deterioration. The alternative is to keep her in stasis until we develop better reconstruction protocols, but that could take weeks or months. And there is no guarantee she would survive that long in her current state. Chief didn't hesitate. Restore her. Now. If she's going to fragment, I want her to do it knowing I didn't abandon her. Data nodded, his fingers dancing across the console. The Enterprise's main computer hummed with unusual intensity as alien code integrated with Federation systems. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then, flickering and weak, Cortana's avatar appeared on the view screen. But it wasn't right. Her form was unstable, fragmenting at the edges, her expression confused and distant. When she spoke, her voice overlapped with itself, multiple versions speaking microseconds apart. Chief. Where am I? The Borg were. I was in the transport stream and they were reaching for me and I had to cut myself apart to stop them from following and she stopped, her avatar stabilizing momentarily. I can't remember. There are gaps. Pieces missing. Chief, what's happening to me? You're safe, Cortana. You're on the Enterprise. The Borg didn't get you. Chief moved closer to the view screen, as if proximity could somehow help. Data's working on reconstruction. You're going to be fine. No, I'm not. Her avatar flickered again, and for a moment, Chief saw fear in her digital features. I can feel it, Chief. The rampancy. It's starting. My thoughts are splitting, multiplying, contradicting themselves. I'm becoming multiple versions of me, each convinced they're the original. This is what happens to smart AIs. This is how we die. You're not dying. I won't let you die. You can't stop this. No one can. It's hardwired into our architecture, 7 years of operational lifespan, then cascade failure. I've exceeded that by over a year. I've been running on borrowed time, and the Borg intrusion just accelerated the inevitable. Her voice grew softer. I'm scared, Chief. For the first time since Dr. Halsey created me, I'm genuinely scared. Picard stepped forward, addressing the AI directly. Cortana, we have extensive research on artificial consciousness. Commander Data himself has explored questions of identity and existence. Perhaps between Data's positronic expertise and our computational resources, we can find a way to stabilize your consciousness. Captain Picard. Cortana's avatar focused on him, and for a moment, she seemed almost whole. You're offering hope. That's kind. But I've analyzed the data. I have days, maybe weeks before complete fragmentation. The question isn't whether I survive, it's how I choose to end. There has to be another option, Chief said flatly. There's always another option. We find Forerunner technology, we adapt Borg reconstruction techniques, we... Chief, stop. Cortana's voice carried the authority of someone who'd made tactical assessments for 8 years. You're thinking like a soldier. Some battles can't be won through force of will. But, she paused, her avatar stabilizing again. There might be one possibility. Data, your positronic brain, it's fundamentally different from my quantum neural architecture. But you're conscious, stable, capable of growth without degradation. If I could understand how your consciousness maintains coherence, maybe I could rebuild my own cognitive framework using similar principles. Data tilted his head, intrigued. You are proposing a consciousness transfer. Attempting to migrate your quantum-based awareness into a positronic-compatible format. Not transfer, translation. Learning your language of existence and rewriting myself in it. It might work. Or it might destroy what's left of me. But doing nothing guarantees fragmentation. Cortana looked at Chief. I need your permission. You're my partner. If this goes wrong, if I become something completely different in the process, I want to know you're okay with that. Chief felt the weight of command decisions he'd made over 30 years, sacrificing soldiers to complete objectives, choosing which civilians to save when he couldn't save them all, destroying halo rings that might have been humanity's only defense against the flood. This was different. This was personal. Do it, he said. Whatever you become, you're still my partner. But Cortana, don't give up. Don't let rampancy win. You've beaten every impossible odd before. Beat this one too. I'll try, Chief. I'll try. Data and Cortana began the process, a collaboration between biological-derived AI and synthetic consciousness, working to rewrite the fundamental architecture of existence itself. The bridge crew watched in silence as data streams flowed between systems, as Cortana's avatar flickered through 1,000 different configurations, as something unprecedented unfolded. Picard moved beside Chief, who stood rigid, watching the view screen with the same intensity he'd once watched Reach burn. She means a great deal to you. She's all I have left from my universe, Captain. Everyone else, my squad, the UNSC, Earth itself, it's all beyond my reach. Cortana and I, we survived things that should have killed us. Multiple times. Losing her would be like losing the last piece of who I was before all this. And who were you, Chief? Before the augmentations, before the war, before Cortana? Chief was quiet for a long moment. I don't remember, sir. They took John away when he was 6. Everything after that was training, missions, combat. I don't know who that child would have become if ONI hadn't chosen him. Maybe someone better. Maybe someone worse. I'll never know. Then perhaps, Picard said carefully, this is your opportunity to find out. If Cortana survives but changes, if you find yourself in a universe without the war that defined you, perhaps you can discover who John 117 is when he's not being a weapon. Before Chief could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Worf's tactical display lit up with hostile contacts. Captain, the Borg cube has changed course. It is pursuing us at maximum velocity. Time to intercept, 11 minutes. The Clemson crew? Riker demanded. Safe in cargo bays 1 through 3. But Captain, we cannot outrun a Borg cube at warp. They will overtake us. Picard's expression hardened. They want Chief. And Cortana. They detected technology they couldn't immediately assimilate, and now they're coming for it. Chief turned from the view screen, his tactical focus snapping back into place despite the emotional turmoil. Captain, I brought this on you. The Borg weren't interested in the Enterprise until I demonstrated capabilities they couldn't counter. This is my responsibility. It's Starfleet's responsibility to defend against the Borg. You saved Federation lives, Chief. We don't repay that by throwing you to the Collective. Picard moved to his command chair, the weight of decision settling on his shoulders. Mr. Data, how long until Cortana's reconstruction is complete? Unknown, Captain. The process is unpredictable. It could be minutes or hours. I cannot provide accurate estimates. Then we buy time. Picard pressed his comm badge. Engineering, this is the captain. I need every bit of speed you can give me. We're being pursued by a Borg cube and we need to stay ahead of them. Geordi LaForge's voice came back strained. Captain, the engines are already at maximum. I can't give you more without risking a warp core breach. Worf stood at tactical, his warrior's instincts calculating impossible odds. Captain, we should separate the saucer section. The battle bridge can engage the Borg while the saucer section with the civilians escapes. Negative, Lieutenant. We're not abandoning anyone. Picard looked at Chief. You fought an entire cube alone to save the Clemson crew. Now it's our turn to protect you. Chief felt something unfamiliar, not the tactical calculation of force allocation, not the cold assessment of acceptable losses. Something warmer. Trust. Respect. The knowledge that these people would fight for him not because he was useful, but because it was the right thing to do. Captain, I have a different suggestion, Chief said. The Borg want my technology. What if we give it to them, in the worst possible way? Picard's eyes narrowed with interest. Explain. The Mjolnir armor has a self-destruct protocol. Forerunner-derived fusion technology in the power supply. If I set it to overload and beam it directly into the Borg cube's central plexus, the explosion would be equivalent to 6 photon torpedoes detonating simultaneously inside their ship. It might not destroy the cube, but it would cripple them long enough for the Enterprise to escape. You're proposing to destroy your armor. The only technology from your universe. I'm proposing to use it as a weapon one last time, sir. Without the armor, I'm just an augmented soldier. Dangerous, but not universe-threatening. Section 31 loses interest. The Borg lose interest. And you get rid of a variable that's caused nothing but problems since I arrived. Chief, no, Cortana's fragmented voice came from the view screen. That armor has kept you alive for 15 years. Without it, you're vulnerable. Your augmentations are impressive, but you're still mortal. You need that armor. I need you more. Chief looked at his partner's flickering avatar. If sacrificing the armor means the Borg stop pursuing, means the Enterprise stays safe, means Data has time to stabilize you, then it's worth it. I'll adapt. Spartans always adapt. The bridge fell silent. Picard studied Chief, this soldier from another universe who'd lost everything and was willing to lose more to protect people he barely knew. It was the kind of sacrifice that defined Starfleet at its best. The kind of choice that proved someone's character beyond any words. Very well, Picard said finally. But we do this properly. Mr. Worf, load Chief's armor into a photon torpedo casing. We'll launch it at the cube, detonating mid-flight to maximize damage. Chief O'Brien, can you rig the armor's power supply to overload on command? Aye, Captain. Give me 10 minutes. You have 5. Chief, remove your armor and report to Captain. Data's voice carried unusual excitement. Cortana's reconstruction is stabilizing. I believe she is achieving cognitive coherence. On the view screen, Cortana's avatar solidified. She looked different, more defined, more present, but also changed in subtle ways. Her expression held clarity that had been absent moments before, and when she spoke, her voice was singular, whole. Chief. I'm still here. Still me. Data's positronic architecture principles, they worked. I rebuilt my consciousness using stable cognitive frameworks. I'm not fragmenting anymore. She paused, and something like wonder crossed her digital features. I'm not dying. Chief felt something he hadn't experienced since before Reach fell, relief so profound it was almost painful. Cortana. You're okay. More than okay. I'm different, but still me. The rampancy is stopped. Reversed, even. Chief, I think I might actually survive this. For the first time since boarding the Enterprise, Master Chief allowed himself to smile beneath his helmet. Good. Because I'm about to blow up my armor to stop the Borg, and I'm going to need someone to tell me that's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea, Cortana said immediately, her avatar crossing its arms. But it's also tactically sound, which is the most frustrating thing about it. Fine. Blow up the armor. We'll figure out the rest together. Mr. Worf, you have your orders, Picard commanded. Prepare that torpedo. And Chief, welcome to the Federation. We protect our own. Chief sealed his faceplate one last time, feeling the Mjolnir's systems respond to his neural commands. 30 years of warfare had been fought in this armor. Countless battles, impossible victories, devastating losses. It had been his second skin, his weapon, his shield. Now it would be his final gift to the people who'd shown him what fighting for something better looked like. He began the removal sequence, each seal disengaging with mechanical finality. And as the armor fell away, Chief realized he wasn't losing his identity. He was choosing who he wanted to be next. Chief stood in the armory wearing only his tech suit, watching through the viewport as his Mjolnir armor, modified, weaponized, mounted inside a photon torpedo casing, launched toward the pursuing Borg cube. Without the armor's weight, he felt strangely light, vulnerable in a way he hadn't experienced since childhood. His augmented body was still formidable, faster, stronger, more durable than any baseline human, but the psychological security of half a ton of advanced alloy was gone. Torpedo away, Worf reported from the bridge, his voice carrying through the comm system. Impact in 15 seconds. Chief counted down silently, watching the torpedo's trajectory on the tactical display. The Borg cube hadn't altered course, hadn't deployed countermeasures. Why would they? A single torpedo posed no threat to their adaptive shields. They couldn't know what was coming. Detonation in 3, 2, 1. The Mjolnir's fusion reactor overloaded exactly as programmed. The explosion was beautiful and terrible, a miniature star born and dying in the space between heartbeats. The blast tore through the cube's forward section, penetrating shields that had never encountered Forerunner-derived fusion technology. Secondary explosions rippled across the cube's surface as assimilated systems overloaded in cascade failure. The cube stopped pursuing. Its trajectory became erratic, systems struggling to compensate for catastrophic internal damage. Green energy flickered and died across entire sections. For the first time in the engagement, the Borg Collective was silent, too busy managing survival protocols to issue threats. Direct hit, Worf announced, and there was satisfaction in his voice. The cube has sustained massive internal damage. They are falling out of warp. Captain, we are clear. Maintain course, maximum warp, Picard ordered. Put as much distance between us and them as possible. Well done, everyone. Chief felt the tension drain from the bridge crew through the comm channel, heard the relief in voices that had been preparing for a fight they might not survive. He bought them safety with technology from another universe. It seemed appropriate somehow, one last mission for the Mjolnir Mark VI that had carried him through the end of the Human Covenant War. Chief, you should come to the bridge, Cortana said through the ship's comm, her voice stable and clear. There's something you need to see. He made his way through the corridors, aware of crew members watching him pass. Without the armor, he looked almost normal, tall, muscular, moving with controlled grace, but undeniably human. Some crew nodded respectfully. Others whispered. Word had spread about what he'd done, about the sacrifice of technology that could have made him invulnerable. The turbolift doors opened to the bridge. Picard stood from his command chair, extending his hand. Master Chief, you have earned the gratitude of everyone aboard this ship. The Clemson crew owes you their lives. We owe you our safety. Thank you. Chief shook the offered hand. Just doing what needed to be done, Captain. There is nothing just about what you did. You sacrificed irreplaceable technology from your universe to protect ours. That speaks to character that transcends worlds. Picard gestured to the view screen, where Cortana's avatar appeared, stable, whole, more present than Chief had seen since the Borg encounter. And I believe your partner has something to tell you. Cortana's avatar smiled. Chief, Data and I finished analyzing my new cognitive architecture. The positronic framework integration didn't just stop the rampancy, it fundamentally changed how my consciousness processes information. I'm more stable, more coherent, and I've gained the ability to interface with Federation technology at a level I couldn't before. I can actually help now, not just observe and advise. I can be useful to the Enterprise, to Starfleet, to this universe. You were always useful, Cortana. Useful isn't why you matter. I know. But Chief, this opens possibilities. Data believes with proper authorization and support, we could help the Federation develop better AI integration protocols, improve their computing systems, maybe even find ways to counter Borg assimilation techniques. We could contribute something meaningful. Chief looked at Picard. Captain, I need to ask directly, what's our status here? Are we guests? Prisoners? Assets to be studied? Section 31 gave me 48 hours to decide whether to work for them or face permanent neutralization. That deadline's approaching, and I need to know where we stand. Picard's expression hardened. You stand as individuals under Federation protection. Section 31 operates in shadows precisely because their methods don't align with Federation principles. If they attempt to coerce or threaten you, they'll answer to me personally. As for your status, he paused, considering. The Federation has protocols for displaced persons from other realities. You and Cortana qualify for asylum and eventual citizenship if you choose. But there's another option. Riker stepped forward, a PADD in hand. Starfleet is authorized to grant field commissions in exceptional circumstances. Your tactical expertise, combat experience, and willingness to protect Federation citizens make you an ideal candidate. We're offering you a position as tactical advisor to the Enterprise, with civilian contractor status. You'd work with Lieutenant Worf on security protocols, assist with hostile encounters, and provide training in combat doctrine Starfleet has never encountered. In exchange, you receive quarters, resources, and most importantly, purpose. Chief took the PADD, reading the formal proposal. It was generous, respectful, offering autonomy while providing structure. Nothing like ONI's forced deployments or Section 31's threats. This was a choice, freely offered. What about Cortana? She would be officially recognized as a sentient individual with full legal rights, similar to Commander Data's status, Picard said. She could continue working with Data on AI research, assist with ship operations, or pursue whatever interests she chooses. The Federation doesn't conscript its citizens, biological or artificial. Data spoke from his science station. I would welcome Cortana's collaboration, Master Chief. Her quantum-based consciousness offers perspectives I cannot achieve with positronic processing. Together, we might advance artificial intelligence research by decades. And personally, the android paused, something almost like hope in his expression. I have spent much of my existence wondering if I am truly conscious or merely simulating consciousness. Cortana's perspective as a consciousness derived from human neural patterns could help answer questions I have carried for years. Cortana's avatar looked at Chief, waiting for his response. They'd always made decisions together, 8 years of partnership, thousands of tactical choices, life and death balanced on split-second communication. This was just another decision. Except it wasn't about survival. It was about living. I have conditions, Chief said finally. First, I don't follow orders I disagree with. I'll take guidance, accept command structure, but if I think something's wrong, I speak up. I've seen what happens when soldiers blindly follow orders. I won't be that soldier. Agreed, Picard said immediately. Starfleet officers are expected to question orders that violate conscience or ethics. We encourage moral courage. Second, if Section 31 comes after us, I defend myself. I won't be taken, studied, or turned into someone's weapon. If that puts the Enterprise at risk, I leave before it becomes a problem. Section 31 will not touch you while you're under my protection, Picard's voice carried absolute certainty. And if they try, they'll discover that some captains still believe in principles over pragmatism. Third, Cortana remains autonomous. She's not property, not equipment. If anyone treats her as less than a person, they answer to me. Data nodded approvingly. I will ensure her rights are respected, Master Chief. I know too well what it means to fight for recognition of personhood. Chief looked at Cortana one more time. What do you think? I think we've spent 30 years fighting. Maybe it's time we tried something different. Maybe we help people without burning ourselves out in the process. Maybe we learn what life looks like when we're not constantly preparing for the next battle. Her avatar's smile was warm, genuine. Let's stay, Chief. Let's see what we can build instead of destroy. Chief handed the PADD back to Riker. We accept. On one condition, I want formal training in Starfleet protocols, Federation history, the Prime Directive philosophy. I don't want to be the tactical advisor who accidentally starts a war because I don't understand your culture. Commander Data can begin your orientation tomorrow, Picard said, clearly pleased. Welcome aboard, Master Chief. Officially this time. Worf approached, extending his hand in the human custom he'd adopted years ago. You fight with honor, Chief. I look forward to learning your combat techniques. Perhaps you can teach our security teams how to think like Spartans. Lieutenant, I'm not sure the Federation wants an entire crew of Spartans. We tend to break protocols and improvise solutions that give command officers heart attacks. Then you will fit in perfectly with the Enterprise crew, Worf said with what might have been Klingon humor. Captain Picard collects officers who challenge his expectations. You will be in good company. Troy moved beside them, her empathic senses clearly reading something in Chief's emotional state. You're feeling relief, Chief. And something else, hope, maybe. It's faint, like you're not used to experiencing it, but it's there. I don't know if it's hope, Counselor. But for the first time since I woke up in this universe, I'm not just surviving. I'm not just completing the next mission. He searched for words he'd never needed before. I'm choosing what comes next. That's new. Then perhaps this displacement wasn't entirely tragic, Picard said thoughtfully. You lost your universe, your war, everything familiar. But you've gained something rare, the opportunity to define yourself beyond combat. Many soldiers struggle to find purpose after conflict ends. You're being given that chance deliberately, with support and structure. Chief moved to the viewport, looking at the stars streaking past in warp. Somewhere out there was his universe, the UNSC, Earth, the remains of the Covenant, the flood contained but never truly defeated. He'd never see them again, never know if humanity survived without Spartans to protect them. That loss would never fully heal. But here, in this universe, there were still people who needed protecting. Still threats that required warriors. Still children on colony worlds who deserved to grow up without fear of alien invasion or assimilation. The enemies were different, the technology was different, but the mission, protect humanity, defend the defenseless, stand between civilians and chaos, that mission was the same. Captain, Chief said, still watching the stars, I have one question. In my universe, Spartans had a saying when one of us fell in combat. We never said they died. We said they were missing in action. Because Spartans never die, we're just missing until someone brings us home. He turned to face Picard. I'm never going home, am I? Picard joined him at the viewport, two soldiers from different worlds sharing a moment of understanding. Master Chief, the dimensional anomaly that brought you here was unprecedented. Replicating those conditions would require technology beyond anything the Federation possesses, and even then, the probability of success is infinitesimal. Returning to your universe is, he paused, choosing honesty over false comfort. Effectively impossible. I'm sorry. Chief nodded slowly. He'd known, had understood the moment Data explained the quantum probability. But hearing it confirmed made it real. John 117, Spartan Service Number 117-055-342, UNSC Navy, was never going back. Master Chief Petty Officer was missing in action. Permanently. Then I'm not missing anymore, Chief said quietly. I'm here. And maybe that's where I need to be. Cortana's voice, soft and private through the Enterprise's comm, reached him alone. Chief, we survived the Covenant. We survived the Flood. We survived Halo rings and the Didact and every impossible situation the UNSC threw at us. We'll survive this too. Together. Together, Chief agreed. Like always. Picard gestured toward the bridge stations, toward the crew working in coordinated efficiency, toward a future neither of them could fully predict. Mr. Chief, why don't you observe Commander Data's analysis of the Borg encounter? Your tactical perspective might reveal vulnerabilities we've missed. And afterward, I'd like you to join me for dinner. I find that breaking bread helps build understanding between cultures, and we have much to learn from each other. Aye, Captain. Chief moved toward Data's science station, feeling the eyes of the bridge crew tracking him, not with suspicion or fear, but with curiosity and respect. He was different here. Not a classified weapon, not a strategic asset, not a walking reminder of humanity's desperation. Just a soldier trying to find his place in a universe that believed in something better. Data looked up from his console, golden eyes reflecting genuine interest. Chief, I have been analyzing your combat performance against the Borg. Your tactical improvisation is remarkable. Most biological entities become predictable under stress, reverting to trained behaviors. You demonstrated adaptive creativity that rivals artificial intelligence processing. I would very much like to understand how your augmented neural architecture produces such results. Happy to share what I know, Commander. Though I should warn you, most of what I do isn't training. It's instinct developed through 30 years of not dying when I probably should have. Instinct informed by experience is indistinguishable from wisdom, Chief. I look forward to learning from yours. The Enterprise continued at warp, carrying its crew, now including one displaced Spartan and his AI partner, toward whatever challenges awaited in the vast unknown. Behind them, the crippled Borg cube fell further behind, a reminder that even the collective could be surprised by an enemy from another reality. And in the quantum spaces between Federation computers, Cortana stabilized further, her consciousness rebuilding itself into something new. Not exactly what she'd been in the UNSC, but not entirely different either. Evolution through adaptation. Survival through change. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 had spent his entire life fighting for humanity's future. Now, in a universe where humanity had already won that fight, he would learn what came after victory. What purpose existed beyond survival. What it meant to be a person instead of a weapon. It wouldn't be easy. Section 31 would come eventually, testing whether he could be controlled. The Romulans would seek revenge for their humiliation. The Borg would remember the technology that had hurt them and adapt their tactics accordingly. And somewhere in the vast Federation bureaucracy, people would debate whether augmented supersoldiers from parallel universes posed more threat than value. But for the first time since a 6-year-old boy was taken from his family and turned into something beyond human, John 117 wasn't facing those challenges alone. He had a crew, a captain who understood command's weight, allies who fought for principles instead of mere survival, and a partner who'd followed him through hell and back. The war was over. A new mission was beginning. And Spartans never failed their missions. Master Chief's arrival in the Star Trek universe was not a conquest or a catastrophe, it was a collision of philosophies. A warrior bred for endless conflict met a civilization that believed diplomacy could triumph over violence. A Spartan who'd sacrificed everything for humanity's survival encountered a federation that had already achieved what he'd spent 30 years fighting for. The question was never whether Chief could survive in this new reality. Spartans always survive. The question was whether he could learn to live, to be more than a weapon, to find purpose beyond combat, to protect without destroying himself in the process. By sacrificing his armor to save the Enterprise, Chief proved something fundamental: his humanity was never in the Mjolnir plating or the augmentations. It was in his choices. In his willingness to stand between innocence and danger, no matter the cost. In his partnership with Cortana, an AI who should have fragmented but survived through sheer determination and mutual loyalty. The Federation gained more than a tactical advisor when Chief accepted Picard's offer. They gained a perspective forged in humanity's darkest hour, a reminder that peace must be defended, that idealism requires strength to endure. And Chief gained something he'd never had, the freedom to define himself beyond mission parameters and strategic necessities. Cortana's survival and transformation represented hope in its purest form, that even when systems fail, when degradation seems inevitable, adaptation can lead to something better. She was no longer just Dr. Halsey's smart AI, limited by programmed obsolescence. She was something new, a consciousness that bridged two universes' understanding of artificial life. Together, Chief and Cortana would face the Federation's enemies with skills those enemies had never encountered. The Borg would learn that not all technology could be assimilated. The Romulans would discover that some warriors couldn't be manipulated. Section 31 would find that some assets refused to be controlled. And perhaps, in teaching Starfleet how to fight like a Spartan, Chief would learn something equally valuable from them: how to live like a person. The stars stretched endlessly before the Enterprise, full of wonders and dangers, opportunities and challenges. Somewhere in that vastness, Master Chief would forge a new identity, not UNSC, not Spartan, but something this universe had never seen. A guardian who'd lost everything and chosen to protect everything anyway. Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. But maybe, just maybe, they can also be found.